What's up, you awesome, fantastic, lovable, demigods out there? What's up? It's good to see you. I gotta get these things set up, y'all. We got quite a show today. I know it's only 2 hours. I know that I feel like I never have enough time, to be totally honest with you. I feel like I never have enough time. There's so many things I want to talk about. There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff we could talk about. There's a lot. But I gotta stick to the time frame. Oh my gosh. I can never get my glasses to stop smearing. There we go. I can see just a little bit better. Yesterday got crazy. I know. If you read the title of the video today, great. Bob Lazar was right. If you read the description, what's going on, Elon? Why'd you do this to me? Why'd you do this to me? Ladies and gentlemen, and demigods and binaries, non-binaries, we're going to review today. We're going to review, bear with me, some X videos. What do I mean by that? I mean, Elon Musk decided to rename Twitter X. And when we go on to X to look at videos, now we're looking at X videos. Elon, I don't think that was an accident. I think he wanted to seriously just, throw a little dirty joke out there by the rebranding of his of Twitter. How dare you, Elon? Look what you've done to me. Look what you've done. What are we supposed to do now? Huh? John P. Adventures, what's up? I love this music too, man. I appreciate that love. John P., thank you for the love. I appreciate that. They're in 1320. I'm doing fantastic. Now, let's talk about some things. I want to review a video, and then we're going to review another video. All right? I want to review several videos. But, it's love, brother. But I just want to put the first couple minutes of the video because I think that's what really is the highlight for me. That was the highlight. It was just like seeing, hearing some more details about those satellite images that I talked about yesterday. That there are satellite images that have been detecting deep space objects for decades, and we're talking a lot of it. So there are two videos we're going to take a look at. They're very quick, they're not like we're not going to review the whole thing. We're not going to have enough time to, but check it out, y'all.
I just want to have fun. Clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance.
Minus the ads.
The House Oversight Subcommittee held a hearing on
that's great.
UAPs.
Oh, I love this part. Let's skip to the... Okay.
Let's watch.
Gentlemen, I told you to calm down, didn't I? I told you to calm down.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
We're gonna go with reptile. They're freaking reptilian aliens. All right.
Non-human.
Investigative journalist and author of UFOs,
Welcome.
generals, pilots, and government officials go on the record. Leslie Kane joins us now to discuss. Thanks for being with us, Leslie.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Wow.
So what do you make
Scott,
of that
you for the
claim
like.
by
Appreciate
Grush
that.
there of the non-human biologics?
Well, I mean, that is probably the most explosive statement that was made in the whole hearing in terms of just trying to wrap your mind around something that hard to imagine, that there's actually biological material, if not bodies of non-human beings in the possession of the U.S. government. I have no way of knowing whether that's true or not. I have talked to others who have told me that it is true. But I think tracking down the crash retrieved objects, we may have a better chance of doing that than getting our hands on biological specimens.
Well, I hope she's wrong because I want to see them aliens. As Donnie Cho says, where them aliens at? Hashtag Donnie Cho's YouTube channel. Check it out. Donnie Cho, I think it's Donnie Cho Says Stuff. It's funny stuff.
So
David,
I'm not in a position to know.
David Grush also said during his testimony that he has gathered this evidence from 40 people that he's interviewed. Do we have a sense of who these individuals are and whether or not how many of them actually had firsthand knowledge or direct access?
At least 40, according to David Grush. At least, and we know for sure there are plenty more than that.
Access to the craft or biologics that were recovered.
We don't know who the specific individuals were, although there may have been some that have come forward, and whether they're part of that pool of 40, we don't really know. For instance, we had a couple of people in our story in the debrief that were supporting David Grush's testimony But most of them, I believe, are not comfortable coming forward publicly because they don't feel safe. There's lots of restrictions on what people can do and say. They don't want to break their security oaths, or they may be uncomfortable that it might threaten their jobs or their careers in some way.
And that's why I think they just want to make money. I said this yesterday. I'm glad that Leslie Keane is parroting. She's not parroting me. I'm parroting her, if anything. Just in a different, just like a time dilation effect. Like I was just like seeing the clairvoyantly perceiving the future of her saying the thing that I said yesterday. That's what it is. I'm parroting her. Okay, so the idea that these people are out for money, let's just dispel that right now. I'm going to take on, for all of you, I'm David, the Black David, okay? Goliath is the part of the UFO community that says that David Grush is fake, that he's a grifter, or that he's out here for money, and say that the man has risked his life to come forward with the truth about the phenomena. Everyone who claims they want disclosure, who's saying that David Grush is a psyop, you are not a part of the conversation, not in a positive way. You're contributing to the degradation of ufology. You're contributing to the smearing of this movement of disclosure. You're contributing to the obfuscation and the ambiguity that is already out there in the conspiracy theory world. You are the problem. You are the problem. If you are somebody who says that, except for if you're in my chat, not you. You guys you get a free pass. But everybody else, if you're out there saying that David Grush, I like Ryan Graves and Commander Fravor. Why? Because they didn't say anything about the aliens. Not really. And even some people don't like Graves and Fravor. You know why? You know why they don't like him? This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. Because they described the events of their encounters with these non-human intelligences without saying, and then we tried to establish friendly contact. I heard someone say yesterday, and I know I'm going on a diatribe right now. I'll try to keep it quick, y'all. I just heard someone yesterday that I respect. I respect their intelligence. I respect their work and their efforts in this field, who literally said, why haven't we established friendly contact? How come we're seeing them as something that's hostile? Why don't we just try to be friends with them? Why don't we try to be friends with them? We're not the gods they are. And guys, you get what we're not thousands or if not millions of years advanced intellectually, spiritually, if you will. So they say, so this is what they say. They're the spiritual, descendants of us, or predecessor, whatever. Maybe their granddaddy, great granddaddy, alien. They know, they're so spiritually evolved. They love us. They love us so much that they're willing to do things that they know will make us feel like they're a threat. Guys, I will not allow it to go without being challenged. These arguments are mind-numbingly stupid.
They're afraid of retaliation, which is what happened.
Unless you're in my chat, then they're worth having a conversation about.
Happened to David Grush. So people are kind of waiting in the wings, I think, to see how things unfold. And then I think more and more will come public in support of him. And we will hear from people who have direct firsthand knowledge.
But not if the UFO community inspires resistance with the movement. I'm a whistleblower. I believe that in truth and transparency, I'm going to come forward and I'm going to tell the American people and the world about all that I know about aliens and spacecraft and the intergalactic blah, blah, blah. UFO community. Get your pitchforks out, y'all. They're talking about aliens on the news. I don't trust it. But sir, didn't you spend your life's work looking for UFOs and aliens? I don't care. I want to burn it all down. Because they didn't mention my brother from the Zeta Reticuli star system. Guys, gals, non-binaries, demigods. Why? Why are we like this? If I were an alien from an intergalactic brotherhood looking down at the human race, I would literally just turn the other way. I'm like flying through the galaxy, just interstellarly hopping from planet to planet, just checking out different life forms. You know, there's a planet full of necks. It sucks there. There's some heptapods. Okay, cool. You know, there's an entire colony of walking whales. Awesome. They're pretty intelligent. They love their families. There's a dolphin planet full of water. It gets crazy. The orgies are crazy there. Okay, I get it, right? Earth. Oh my gosh. They're killing each other. They're just slaughtering each other. I'm going to go down and abduct them, do these kinds of inappropriate experiments on them, and I'm going to mess with their pilots. I'm going to toy with... Oh, look, they have people that fly in the sky. Let's go mess with them. Oh, they have bombs that can blow up the entire world and kill everyone. Let's go turn them off. And then let's go on the other side of the world and turn them on. UFO community. They love us. They're here to save us. Why aren't we establishing friendly communication? I will not allow this to go without being challenged. Unless you're in my community, I like you too much to... You can say whatever you want to.
Of these programs, which Grush didn't have.
So it sounds like there is a bit of breaking news today moving out of this about the subcommittee coming from McCarthy. Can you tell us a little bit about what you know about the subcommittee?
Yes, I did. I just heard from Burchett's office that the four members of the committee, the Appropriations Committee, who held the hearing, have written a letter to Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The four members are Mr. Burchett, Matt Gaetz, Luna, and Jared Moskowitz. And they have asked him for the formation of a select committee to investigate UAP.
This is a big deal. The select committee is a big deal. It's temporary, but like the point, and she's probably going to elaborate on this, is to really dig their claws into this apparatus, this secrecy apparatus. That is the intention here. Again, there is a reason why I'm ranting about the UFO community right now. There's a reason. I've been spending too much time this last week, you know, with the hearing from Wednesday. Literally battling with the UFO community about this situation. They go from calling David Grush a grifter, a fake, a fraud, somebody who's out for money, to, you know, look at his body language. I mentioned this in a clip that I clipped it, you know, his body language. He's got autism and Asperger's and he's gullible and blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. Bam! Congressional hearings with bipartisan support. Information is being released to the American people in the world. Lines, snake lines all the way out to the beginning of the building and beyond. Because so many people were 2.2 million views within 24 hours of releasing the congressional hearings to the public. Now all of a sudden, okay, maybe there's something to it. All that talk, I will not allow you to forget. I will not allow you to forget. All that talk against David Grush. Now, their whole tune's changed. Their whole tune's changed. Almost everybody across the board, skeptics and debunkers and everything in between, and that includes the UFO community, ufologists, now they're changing their tune. They're changing their tune, and I will not allow this to go forgotten. I will not allow it. You will remember, we will remember, that there was a portion of the UFO community that was against disclosure. I will not forget that. Because if you do forget it, we're doomed to repeat our history. We're doomed to repeat it. The select committee is important. Let's see who's against it moving forward.
It would also involve the collection of information, and it would, conduct oversight, the issues around oversight that need to be addressed. And what's really important, I think, about this select committee is that it would have subpoena authority, so that this committee would be in a position to subpoena some of the witnesses that we all want to hear from, and or documents that maybe could be declassified for the public, because they've also focused on the problem of overclassification. They want to release more documents to the public. So it's...
The government's hiding everything. The government tries to release it. I don't trust it. What don't you trust? Nobody trusts the whole process. There's obviously opposition. but you don't fight the people on your side. Black Vault, John Greenwald. Oh, we're going to talk about John Greenwald. The Black Vault, John Greenwald. Well, maybe David Grush is committing treason. What? Maybe he's selling secrets. What? He did this with Elizondo. He did this same thing with Elizondo. Maybe he's selling secrets. I'm just asking questions. I didn't say he is. I'm just throwing out the suggestion. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and all I'm doing, with all the influence that I have, with the tens of thousands of people that view my website every day, all I'm doing with this influence that I have is just suggesting, as a question, that David Grush is a traitor. My name is John Greenwald from the Black Vault. I want truth and transparency. By the way, look at this redacted file on UFOs. Redacted file on UFO says, UFO. Everything else redacted. John Greenwald. This is progress. This is how we're going to find the truth. UFO community, half of them. I think John Greenwald is telling the truth. I think he's the right way to go. I like him. You like him? You like the guy that calls the guy that literally brought disclosure a treasonous traitor to the United States of America? You like that guy? Yeah, he's a journalist. Man. What the freak is going on? What's happening?
It's a very exciting development, and I hope that it happens.
And
it won't happen if the UFO community is scaring all the whistleblowers away. I don't understand. I've been spending my whole life thinking that people in the UFO community want a disclosure. Then we get it, and they're fighting tooth and nail against it. People with influence and power. Y'all better stand with me for disclosure. If you want to know the truth, don't fight against the process to find out what the truth is. What the?
I understand you were at this hearing earlier in the week, Leslie. What was the mood like in the room? Did people seem to be taking this seriously? Were people kind of brushing it off or joking about it? And not just among congressional members, but the other people in the audience. How did they seem to react to some of this information that was coming out?
Yeah, the mood, Amber, was really just sort of joyful and, everybody on high alert, everybody very excited. There were literally hundreds of people.
I knew it. I said this. I said there was hundreds of people there. Somebody tried to tell me, again, I'm not, if you're the person and you hear me, just calm down, okay? I'm just spitting facts right now. Tried to tell me there wasn't that many people at the hearing. What? Did you see? Are you kidding me? Did you see there were hundreds of people there? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Listen, if you think that Dr. if you think that Stephen Greer is the arbiter of truth, get out. Let me refer you to Heaven's Gate.
Who lined up to get into this hearing, members of the public who could not get in because there just wasn't space. People started lining up at 2 a.m. in the morning, hours and hours and hours.
Nobody even cared about this hearing. Was what the headline? You guys better go back to last week and look at these YouTubers and look at their titled YouTube descriptions. Did we get anything out of the UFO hearing? Did anything really come out of the UAP hearing? Did David Grush say anything new? Are they going to really tell us anything new in the hearings? Is anything going to come out of this anyway? Are we really going to get anywhere? They said the same thing before the hearing, all right? Before the hearing was even announced, you know what they said? We're never going to get a hearing. They're never going to tell the truth. We're never going to hear their testimony. David Grush is never going to speak in public. He's never going to speak under oath. Hearing comes under oath. Okay, well, we're never going to hear anything new. We hear something new. Basically, look at your most liked YouTubers and look at their history and watch them grift the whole way through this whole process. Watch them. They're going to grift through the whole thing. David Grush is this. David Grush is real. Oh, David Grush, but he's not saying anything. So he did say something. Well, he's not going to tell it under oath, so he can get a scapegoat, so he can write a book. Okay, he didn't say. Okay, he did say it under oath. They've been doing this since the beginning of the News Nation article. They've been doing this since Elizondo in 2017. Since Leslie Keene's article in 2017, they've been doing this. We get to this point, and I want to watch them. I've been watching them. I know y'all have too. This is the whole point, ladies and gentlemen. This is the whole point. The whole point, I hear you go, karaoke. The whole point that I'm trying to make is that there are people, influential people in the UFO community who are fighting against disclosure. If there's anything that tells me we're in the Matrix, it's that.
Stayed up all night to try to get in. So, and you know, the mood, I did not get a sense of any disparaging or ridiculing or any kind of attitudes like that. It was very serious and very excited.
So we've seen a few viral moments that have gotten the most attention online. What happened in the hearing that you would point to that's worthy of attention that's not getting attention?
Well, that's a good question, because I do think some of the more, you know, sensationalistic aspects of it are getting most of the attention. But there were a lot of other important points that were brought out. One of them, for instance, a need for pilots to report, to have a mechanism. And
what came out of the UFO hearings? What came out of the hearings? How about an entire Lex Diaz? Share that. I need you to distribute the red pill to the community, please. What came out of the hearings? Well, basically, processes, legislation, amendments, like congressional oversight, the call for a select committee, bipartisan support for this, for disclosing the truth to the American people, investigations into corporations that we've known are part of the military-industrial complex that have been keeping this secret from us for a long time, eyes on Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and all these different aerospace companies who've been selling things to, who've been taking money from the government and then lying about what that money's being used for. What are you talking about? What came out of this? What came out of this? If that is your take from the congressional hearings, you're either sleeping the whole way through it, or, man, I don't even know if I should say. I don't want to be. I'm not trying to insult people, man. But listen, I don't want to insult people. But my gosh, how can you not say that this is a stupid take? How can you not think that this is a mind-numbingly stupid take? It's dumb. Nothing came out of it. Did you even hear what happened at the hearing? Did you see AOC and Tim Burchett talking about calling each other brothers and sisters on Twitter? Friends? What came out of it? Well, this is, again, remember, every step of the way, this is what people said. Nope, 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 okay. Nope, 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 okay. Nope, 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 okay. Nothing's gonna come out of it. Okay, something come out of it. Nothing's gonna come out. Okay, something come out of it. This is not true. Okay, this is true. This person's a liar. Okay, this person's not a liar. Every step of the way, it's back. They're like a boat that's in the most, you know, like, I don't know, ridiculously wild hurricane in history. All right, and it's just like this is the boat just waving back and forth, where the waves are just flopping this boat around, just flopping it around. All right, we cannot. Because what happens is, when I listen to somebody I trust and I like, and I've heard them and I hear and I'm like, wow, that's an intelligent analysis. And then I hear them say something off the wall, I will not allow that to go unnoticed. Some people will say, they'll accept it because they trust that person. It's not because they're dumb, it's because they trust that person. These people have influence. They have influence, and we must focus on the grift, the obfuscation from the community. We know the government's going to do it. We know that private aerospace corporations are going to do it. But the UFO community, I didn't expect that. And I don't want you to fall victim to that misinformation.
Which they can feel safe reporting. Ryan Graves mentioned that only 95% of that 95% of the pilots who do have sightings don't report them. I mean, that is a huge number. So something needs to be done to it.
What came out of the UFO hearings? Well, we find out that 95% of pilots don't even report them, and some of them delete the evidence. Pfft, nothing came out of the hearing? Okay.
Address that, because there's valuable data to be provided from these pilots, which isn't getting provided because they're afraid that they'll somehow harm their jobs.
Well, why hasn't somebody just come forward then? Because they're afraid that someone will harm their jobs in their life. Well, why haven't more people come forward? Because you keep telling them to go back and you keep scaring the people that are coming forward and telling them that they're grifters and they're liars and they're this, and you're attacking them on social media and you're creating entire 2, 3, 4 hour videos about how they're treasonous. Why won't more people come forward? Man, you guys are lucky. If I cursed, it would be 95% cursing, 5% content.
Or that they'll be ridiculed, or there's still a stigma against this. So that needs.
Why haven't more people come forward? Because of stigma that you're creating. You, UFOlogists in the community, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. You're the reason why more whistleblowers won't come forward. You are. You are. Because if it weren't for your criticism, and I don't mean your objectivity, I don't mean your journalism, I don't mean your skepticism, I mean your straight up assault on whistleblowers, you might as well be in government op yourself, because you are literally performing the duties of the ones who are keeping the truth from the American people in the world. You are the mouthpiece for the military-industrial complex who's trying to suppress this information from the public. You are the people who are who needs a counterintelligence agent when you can just tell the UFO, when you can just let the UFO community eat whistleblowers alive and then have them say, well, why isn't any more people coming forward? Because of you.
Needs to be addressed. There was also a point brought up about satellite imagery. There must be a tremendous amount of satellite imagery. I'm sure some of the classified briefings have included it. Can some of that be brought up? There's issues around government oversight that need to be addressed. So there's, a lot, and there needs to be basically an investigation to follow up on what David Grush has provided, the specifics, because he.
Before this all happened, again, this is what this focus of this video is. Before this happened, the UFO community didn't even want this set. They didn't even want this. Not all of you, obviously. I'm here. I'm part of the UFO community, by the way, just so you guys understand. The UFO community generally, they didn't even want the hearings. They didn't even want Grush to talk. They wanted him to go away. Go away, Grush. We don't want to hear you. You're lying. Again, they didn't even want this process. They didn't even want it. Now look. Watch their titles. Watch the titles of their videos. Watch it. You'll see they're going to change their tune all of a sudden. They're still going to throw in a little bit of that, those slick, if you're a journalist or a writer or anybody who creates content, those subtle nuances of language where you can say something without saying something. It's like whenever somebody, is Elon Musk a gay, are Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg actually gay lovers? I didn't say they are. I'm just asking the question. Did Elon Musk make a secret trip to an island, a private island with Elon Musk so they can have gay sex and perform satanic rituals under the night sky? That's the kind of stuff that you're going to see. Not the Elon Musk, but that's that subtle language they use, right? Those just asking questions. John Greenwald literally built a case to try to accuse, and he did this by just asking questions, David Grush of treason, selling secrets, classified secrets to foreign adversaries. That is clever, but are you the DOD? Or are you an investigative journalist just looking? I'm just trying to find the truth. But what if David Grush sold secrets to the Russians? He didn't say those words. I'm just making up look at the video that John Greenwald. We're gonna look at it. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'm reviewing John Greenwald's video. I'm gonna comment on it. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. This guy, these people in the community, they're slick. They're slick, man. They're slick. They're like really good car salespeople, or carpet salespeople, or window salespeople. They're very, very clever with language. Very clever. I'm not saying that Elon Musk has a baby to Mark Zuckerberg, because actually I'm not saying that Mark Zuckerberg is actually secretly a woman who transitioned to a man, and that Elon Musk, in spite of his disdain for his daughter who is transgender, wanted to have a love relationship with Elon, or with Mark Zuckerberg. And actually Elon's daughter might actually be Mark Zuckerberg's love child. Because there was a time period where Mark Zuckerberg was just like he didn't even come into the public view. Was he hiding? Was he pregnant? Was he actually pregnant? I'm not saying this happened. I mean, hey, listen, it's my journalistic responsibility, my duty as a journalist, to ask these questions, guys. It's just my responsibility to ask these questions. I'm not saying I believe this. I didn't say it. I just think that if we're gonna be honest here and truthful and authentic, we need to find out if Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk have a secret love child, because Mark Zuckerberg is a transgender woman.
He did say that he has provided names, locations, program names.
Or man, I don't know how it goes. I'm sorry. I apologize. If you guys can correct me, you can correct me. Whatever, okay? Mark Zuckerberg is transgender, and so that's how they may have a love child. I don't know. I'm not saying I believe this. It sounds actually kind of kooky, but it's my duty to throw it out there. Pay attention, chat. Do not fall for this.
Names, all the data that the members need in order to follow up on what he's telling them. So that was a major point, that an investigation needs to take place to find out if what he's saying is true.
And again, the UFO community wanted to stop the investigation. They wanted to halt the investigation. There were influencers in the UFO community that wanted to stop the investigation. There are people today, again, John Greenwald literally defended Sean Kirkpatrick after he released that letter, and then suggested treason with David Grush. We're gonna watch it tomorrow. Just stay tuned, you'll see.
Former Navy Commander David Fravor also delivered a glowing account of the speed with which the craft he encountered moved. Let's take a look.
Dag nabbit commercials.
Game.
I refuse to allow this commercial to stop our enjoyment.
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and you could put that anywhere. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Here's another part of the UFO community that drives me insane. Karaoke, not you, you have a free pass. And Darren, I know you guys disagree with me. You got a free pass. All right, check it out. It's probably Lockheed Martin. The Tic Tac UFOs are definitely ours. While I will admit it is possible that it is a black budget technology that we've had secret for some time, it's possible. The reason why it's unlikely, obviously, is because no one who is a first-hand witness of these technologies is claiming that that is the case. Only people who hypothesize and speculate based off of nothing but the possibility that it might be. That is not how you come up with your ideas. Well, it could possibly be, because I think that if you look at it's possible. What have people who've come forward, whistleblowers, said about this technology for the last 20 years that we've never displayed? We've never displayed this tech, but we got it. It's possible. It is. I have no doubt that it's possible we have some of this tech. But ladies and gentlemen, if you've been paying attention, we don't even understand how this stuff works. This is technology of the gods. It's not ours. It's theirs. We got some of it, but we have no freaking idea how it works.
Nothing.
Fravor added that the Pentagon never investigated the incident. What do you make of this, Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, the incident took place in 2004, and that was before the program was set up by the DIA in 2007 that was to address some of these phenomena, including UFOs. And then the ATIP program carried on inside the Department of Defense. So they did a kind of retroactive investigation of this case back in the early days of the ATIP program. So, but it wasn't, you know, in those days, these kinds of things were never brought forward. People were afraid to talk about them. And so fortunately, they did do this retroactive investigation. There's a long document that was put together by the investigative team about this case. There were.
You guys want to hear something crazy? You want to hear something crazy? Just wait until this. I want to show you something really crazy, all right?
Multiple witnesses to it. It's very, very powerful, and there's a lot of data. So now I think we're going to see a much more open investigation. If an incident like this were to happen today, I think it would be more public from the beginning, and hopefully more data would be shared with the public as the investigation was undertaken.
It's interesting you point to that sort of a shift in how freely we share information about UFOs, UAPs now. Throughout your career, you've worked through this shift in sentiments about sharing information about UAPs and UFOs with the public. What would you credit this change in how we handle the information to?
My hero, Lou Elizondo.
Well, I would credit to the whole kind of trajectory that began in 2017 with.
I'm going to point this out before she finishes for one, because YouTube policy, for two, because it's important. John Greenwald said that there's a misinformation camp. Hold up. I'm not. No. We ain't gonna play that. Let's just be real, y'all. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Hold up. 2017. Remember that date? 2017. Remember that date? Okay, let's check it out. What happened in 2017? Let's see how John Greenwald sees it. All right. Let's see what John Greenwald has to say about this. All right. Let's take a look. You ready?
Here, I still get the.
Let's pull it up. What, Mr. Greenwald? What'd you say? Huh? What'd you say?
Here, I still get the.
Wait, what? I'll show you. Let's share this. Pull up that nonsense from Mr. Greenwald. Is that it? Oh, they won't let me pull it up. Hold on. Let's see if it will allow me to do this first. Yeah. I think it does. Okay, let's see what Mr. Greenwald says about 2017.
The feeling that this is a psyop. It should be important to remember what happened to Paul Benowitz. Here, I still get the feeling that this is a psyop. It should be important to remember what happened to Paul Benowitz. Look, the psyop thing is something that's been around. The allegation's been around for years now, especially post 2017. That this is all a psyop for numerous different reasons. I've never been on that bandwagon, but you know what? You can't.
Oh, he's never been on that bandwagon. Okay. Well said. What? I spoke too soon.
Can't help but not consider it, given the way things have unfolded, given how people are talking about this, what people do, their actions, and so on. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that.
That is the clever language people use. Don't listen. It's called neuro-linguistic programming. It's got this like nuance, this nuance of language that influences your psychology. You know what he did? Listen, I don't subscribe to that idea, but when you look at all the this and the that and the but and all these people and what they're doing and how they feel and how they think, you can't help but wonder if it's true. Yes. And then he transitions again. It's called grifting. This is what grifting is in real time. I will not allow you to not see that. It's grifting in real time.
I like to preach about, nor am I even really on board with. But anybody has to fully admit that the way that this has unfolded, there are so many things to reasonably question.
Guys, gals, non-binaries and demigods. This is the grift right here. I'm not saying it's this, but I'm saying it's pretty credible that it could be this, but I don't believe it. But man, you have to believe it if you really think about it. But I don't think it. But man, if you think about it, these are all the reasons why you're probably right.
On the actions of certain individuals possibly being involved in a psyop. And that goes both ways.
Except I'm only talking about one way. This is how you do it. This is the grift. This is what real life grifting is. Listen, there are two sides to every story. But let me tell you why I think this one story is worth focusing on only. And then at the end, I'll tell you why. But, you know, I guess everybody's kind of in on it, you know. But let me tell you why this one person, both sides, my donkey.
Of you may think I'm alluding to those that have come forward that are former government and now they're talking in the open realm.
Who might he be talking about? Who might he be? He just suggested, but only for $4.99 you can get my Black Vault Special Diamond Club. That's right, D-Worm. He just did it again. He just did it. He's specifically it's like if I said, listen, I'm not even good, but the bottom line is this. He's alluding to someone. And I know who he's alluding to exactly and explicitly. He didn't even say the names. But when you obviously are talking about very specific, Leslie Kean said the 2017 thing, right? Who was around in this 2017 thing? Who do we attribute the beginning of this whole disclosure movement to? Who do we attribute it to?
Others may think that I'm referring to the government being involved in this psyop. It might be both. But I think that both sides have produced ample reasons to question motives.
That's called a false equivalency, okay? Where you say, well, whatever side he's obviously alluding to has all of these reasons why they're probably a psyop that I don't believe, but you should believe, and the only way you can believe, or only way you can think about it is by believing it's a psyop, and if you think it's a psyop, you're probably right. But both sides could be, you know, but again, this one side
and try to I think they've produced ample evidence. I'm trying to craft my words carefully here. They've produced ample evidence.
I'm trying to craft my words carefully. Indeed you are, Mr. Greenwald. You are quite crafty.
Evidence that supports us pushing and questioning it. Absolutely.
Now listen to what he just did. It's not about pushing and questioning. That is a straw. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. It's not about pushing and questioning. It's about the alluding to, the slick accusations, the suggestions of treason, the obvious alluding to specific persons and their efforts. It's not about asking questions, dude. It's about obvious smear campaigns that you're doing for the Department of Defense. And the UFO community is like, yeah, he's a journalist. I trust him. I think he's doing his job. Man, not on this channel.
So a psyop is not the first thing that I usually lead off with, nor again am I on that bandwagon, but man.
You guys see it? You see that? You see, he's pretending. He's literally Man, I wouldn't start with that, but man, gosh. It's like saying, man, I know that I don't really like double bacon, mega cheese, triple heart attack cheeseburgers, but man, if I could just have one nibble, just give me a nibble. Can you just drop the burger juice in my mouth, please? I just want to taste it, but I don't like them though. I don't like them. You know what else? I'll show you what else it reminds me of here in a second.
Can't help but not look at it and start questioning it.
He's talking about Lou Elizondo, 2017. 2017, Lou Elizondo. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. It's no secret, man. John Greenwald is a government op if I've ever seen one. Even if he doesn't know he is a government op. He is the op.
The New York Times story that I helped write, and it kind of opened the doors for this to be allowed to be taken seriously, because the story revealed that there was a secret program in the Department of Defense that was studying this. And that led the members of Congress to become interested and to receive all kinds of briefings about this. And so it just kind of built on that and built on that.
Okay, so now we have Leslie Kean again walking us through the actual facts of the progression of where we are today. This is what happened. You know who got us this far? The undeniable, we're getting confirmation, if you'll call it that now, in congressional oversight and all this legislation. Again, why do I need to repeat it? We're getting all this. She's telling us how we're getting it. You can look back and see for yourself how we're getting it. But there are people who don't see it. These are the psyops here. You know what that says? If you take on the military-industrial complex, the UFO community will join your side or join against you and fight against you on the side of the military-industrial complex. Is that where we are? Is that where we are right now? I will not allow this to happen. Not on my watch. It's not going to go unnoticed. It's not going to go unnoticed. It is our responsibility, our duty to call this stuff out. Okay? It's our duty. All of us. All of us.
When you have members of government engaged with this topic, seriously interested in it, talking about it as a national security issue, alluding to the fact that it may not be from our, may not be human, we're dealing with something extraordinary.
It's a government op, but like they're telling us about aliens. I don't even know.
Here, that the stigma starts to fade away. You need highly credible authorities to engage with this for that stigma to drop.
It's a balloon. It's probably a balloon. It's swamp gas. It's a bird. It's probably the planet Venus.
And so I think that's really what's changed it. Prior to 2017, the government wouldn't even comment on this. They were absolutely unengaged. But that has changed so radically that we're seeing a diminishment in that stigma pretty quickly.
What do we know about the involvement of other countries' governments in the exploration of UAPs? Is there cooperation there?
This is important. This was mentioned at the hearing, and I got to do some more research on what David Grush meant by the communications between adversary nations. I'm not actually quite sure what exactly he means by that. He suggested that nations, and again, I think he was suggesting even adversaries, were collaborating on a secret channel about the potential of a non-human threat, meaning that if there ever were one, they would collaborate together in unison to defend the planet against a potential non-human threat.
Between the United States and some of their global partners to basically investigate whether or not these craft are simply technological explorations by geopolitical enemies versus actually being extra normal phenomena.
Yes, I mean, as far as I know, our government does cooperate with our allies on this, especially within the group called the Five Eyes. We work with the UK closely, Australia, but of course we don't know a lot about what our adversaries know. Of course, we're not.
Okay, here we go. We got some clarification. She's saying that we don't know a lot about what our adversaries know. I think there's going to be some discrepancies here because, not that she doesn't, David Grush would have those details. Obviously, he has access to those classified programs and the information about if there are any communications between us and adversaries. But I gotta get. Well, I'll have to figure out how to where that information can be expanded upon. But for the time, all we got is that one comment and the mention of a nuclear agreement.
Not working with them, and the big questions. The big question is around China and Russia and what kind of technology they may possess as a result of any kind of reverse engineering programs they have. So we're always trying to find out more about what they know. But yes, there is cooperation. I think it's done very privately and quietly between the different countries, but I do know that it does take place.
Leslie, thank you so much for joining us and breaking this down.
All right, that's the one thing. The next thing I want to review before we watch some of a documentary, we're going to check something out here. I want you to check this out. Post-Disclosure World posted this very good commentary on. Wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not. We just reviewed that. That's not what I wanted to. That's not the other video I wanted to show you. Hold on. Let me find that other video. Hang tight, y'all.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action.
I told you to stop moving. You guys can tell. I know you can all tell. I'm a bit frustrated with the whole, you know, I think of us in the community as allies, but I feel like there's so much infighting now. And when I say about, I shouldn't say infighting, not infighting, there's so much opposition to disclosure. I can't make sense of it.
My spirit's sleeping somewhere cold.
Man, that voice, my gosh.
Till you find me there and leave it there for me. Wake me up and say, wake me up and say.
I do feel bad for him. I'm not gonna lie. I'm with you, Dan Warren. Dan Warren, I do feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for the guy personally, but professionally, he has brought this. I think he meant this upon himself by not being proactive. I had time to book a trip to DC. He could have reached out, and he's just tagging people. But yeah, before the hearing in that time. Yeah, Sean Kirkpatrick, I gotta be honest with you, he's still a peon. I mean, he's a peon. He is a peon.
Official Christopher Mellon.
Hold on, this is way too quiet. I gotta pause the music because this is way too quiet. Hold on a second. Check it out, y'all. Then turn that volume up. You know what I'm saying? Turn that volume up here. Because we gotta get them. We want to hear Christopher Mellon speak. I do. I don't know about y'all, but I want to hear Christopher Mellon speak. Let's hear it.
Joins me now. So, Christopher, what else can you tell us?
Well, I think a couple of things are clear from the hearing. First of all, our military is encountering vehicles that far surpass the capabilities of our own frontline aircraft. They're operating on a persistent basis in restricted military airspace. Sometimes they're jamming the sensors on our aircraft. So,
which, by the way, jamming sensors, do you really think that's a byproduct of their technology? Does anybody think it's just a byproduct? These pilots were reporting an active jamming of their sensor systems. Active jamming. That means it is an intentional act. There's another argument that I have to highlight here. There's an argument within the UFO community that they didn't know what they're doing. It was an accident. It's just a byproduct of their technology. They accidentally jammed the fighter pilots whenever they just so happened to about to be, attacking. Because the fighter pilots will be about to be engaged with them, and they'll lock on to them, not shooting, not attacking, just lock on to them, and then, boom, they'll jam their systems. That's not an act. Why would anybody believe that? Man.
So obviously this is far more concerning than lumbering Chinese balloons. This is something we have to get to the bottom of. The other thing I would say is it's very clear from the hearing today that there's a great deal of information that the government is still not sharing with Congress. The only question is how much information. How extensive is that information?
The question is, what is that information? Does it mean that, is it that there's an intergalactic federation of brotherly aliens that wants to help us move to another level of evolution but doesn't want them to tell us about it? Your people are suffering and dying. Stop destroying your planet. You need to move to another level of evolution. We are non-interventionists. DoD report says unexpected pregnancies. So you out here banging Earth women, you're out here getting all these Earth ladies pregnant, okay? But you're a non-interventionalist? Get the...
Are they not sharing it because they want to rip off the tech so other countries can't have it, or they just don't want to scare us?
It's hard to say. I don't know the answer to that question. I think in terms of the workforce, there's a sense of denial going on. I think there has been in the military for a long time. Generally, pilots don't report these things. When they do, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to engage on this topic. However, it is also clear that, at least at a senior level, there has been more investigation. There is more information than has been let on. So there was a discussion of subpoenas today. I think that's appropriate in this context. We learned today they're withholding satellite imagery, for example, which we knew existed because President...
I told you yesterday or the day before, who knows? They have satellite images. They have it. They got the satellite images. Man, how could anybody believe they don't have it? I'm just disillusioned. You know, when you're younger, when you're not in the field of ufology, you can watch people talk about these topics, and you look up to them. You're like, wow, man, it's so cool to see like John Greenwald facing the government and getting those FOIA documents and putting on the website thousands of it's so awesome. What a hero. And he didn't say this, but you hear there's other ufologists you see, and you watch the channels, the YouTube channel, like, wow, this is so cool. Come to find out, none of them even half of them don't even believe in aliens. I'm kidding. That's not, like, they don't believe that anything. If it wasn't from a lady in Wisconsin who said that she, married a gray alien from the Zeta Reticulan star system, it's not real to those people. Everything's fake. If it has to be, because that's the world that they live in. The world they live in is literally tabloid news. This isn't a tabloid thing. This is real. You know what I just had the most interesting realization. I realized that a lot of ufologists lived in fantasy land. It wasn't about aliens and UFOs. It was about fairy tales. Fairy tales of intergalactic brotherhoods. Fairy tales of love triangles with aliens and married couples, because that happens, by the way. Married couples. And that's, by the way, I'm not saying that those are fairy tales. I'm saying the people, they live in these fairy tales because they want this to happen to them. There are real people who claim, and I believe them, to have love affairs with non-human entities from different star systems. That's what they're being told anyway. Some of them realize they're being manipulated. Some of them think it's a beautiful thing and love it. Okay? They're out there. But I would not lead with that. You don't lead a conversation about aliens with love affairs. Where is the overwhelming evidence for that? There isn't. It's there, and I do believe these people. But it's the question is what exactly is actually happening. I think there is an interaction between them and non-humans. What's actually happening, we don't know, because it's all between them and the aliens. What's up, Rad Peanut? Welcome. We talking about aliens, alien love triangles. We're looking at X videos talking about alien love triangles. Because it's no longer Twitter, it's X now. So technically, we're watching X videos talking about alien love triangles. And satellite images. This is just getting weirder.
Trump's director of national intelligence acknowledged that we have that.
But what's more important, Trey, is that the number of sightings and recordings that have been picked up by what we call multiple sensors, that is visual, radar, ISR, satellite, and
where's the data? If there isn't UFOs, then how come we don't have overwhelming data on this? We should probably know this by now. By now, we should know this. We should definitely have seen something. Well, how come there isn't any data? Well, then you have a scientist who's investigating with the help of Arrow and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and they find an 8mm piece of something. It's an alien spacecraft. But there is no such thing as spacecraft that can be a kilometers wide, but also fly at Mach speeds. It's not possible. I am an astrophysicist. I'm not saying which one it is. If my accent's that bad, you can't tell. I'm working on it. The thing is, you got people who are like combing the ocean floor for millimeters of potentially interstellar objects, saying, I got alien spacecraft. Then you got people that work for the DOD, that work for the intelligence community, that have access to all this classified information about real aliens, bodies, craft, data on the National Geospatial Intelligence data. All this data, it can't be possible. It's not possible to fly that fast. It's not possible. There's no such. Nope. It's not happening. It's Venus. It's Swampcast. What are we doing? What do you want to believe? The truth? Are you a data-driven person, or are you an ideologically driven person.
When you have multiple sensors under conditions where we see UAPs, it explains away a lot of the things like visual disturbances or...
It's birds. It's probably just a smidgen on the camera. It's probably a balloon wafting in the wind. Meanwhile...
things like that. When it comes to national security, ego can't be involved. If there's something out there that's bigger or faster and stronger, we've really got to answer that question. And so having a discussion about it is going to be a good thing.
Here we are years later, that still hasn't been shared with Congress. So there's an example of critically important information
but
that
it's more
sheds
than that now,
new
Chris.
insights that's not being shared.
Sure, but it's now
Yes,
not
absolutely.
just UFO technology. They're talking about the discovery of actual alien life biology. What does that mean?
That's what they're talking. What I'm distinguishing between here is information that the government has acknowledged that absolutely exists that has not been shared with Congress, and other information that may exist that has not been shared with Congress.
So there are aliens, we're saying.
What I'm saying is that I know that we have satellite imagery that has not been shared with Congress, and when Congress sees that, they'll have a better determination of, are these things going at velocities, and are they of a shape that defies, that helps clarify they're not Russian or Chinese.
Avi Loeb would say no. He doesn't believe it. I mean, unless something's changed within... Welcome to the chat. Appreciate your follow. Unless like... Michael Kenny, thank you for that. I appreciate the love, fam. Unless you are, freaking just denying the data, which is what he's doing, at least up to the point that I've read about him a couple weeks ago. Avi Loeb was totally against the idea that these sensor systems are capturing these objects moving at these speeds. I wonder if anything's changed since then. But Avi Loeb, I found a millimeter-wide alien spacecraft. Look, I can tell you, it is interstellar. It's from an alien spacecraft, I can tell you. Meanwhile...
etc. So some of this information was new today. Mr. Grush, who's someone I've known for a number of years, provided really startling testimony today. He's not a first-hand witness to these craft or to the beings on board. He does have access to people with the kinds of background and so forth that lend credibility.
There's no way that a craft that is not aerodynamic can fly through space at those speeds. Meanwhile, you see that giant flat rotating object in space? It is probably just a flock of birds. Probably just flock of birds. Or maybe it is just camera angle that is distorting the bird formation. Probably that. UFO community. I think Avi Loeb's telling the truth. I like him. Let me focus on his millimeter wide. What is happening? Or we're in the Twilight Zone. We're in the Twilight Zone.
We need,
but that remains to be proven.
So that's the last step to this. When you have an actual witness to the alien life to come forward with credentials from the Pentagon, then we're in the end zone. Until then, again, as you said, still a little mysterious. Chris, thank you so much.
Man, listen. Anyway, now that I've ranted for about an hour about all these ridiculously stupid arguments, yes, I said it. They're stupid arguments, man. I mean, if anything, they're arguments they're arguments that are based off of the least amount of data. They're arguments that are based off of the I guess the position of not knowing about the data and the evidence. Okay? If you don't know about the data, you don't know about the of course you're gonna have the take that it's all that Avi Loeb's millimeter wide, is. But if you look at the last, 100 years of data, then you will obviously tell You'll obviously tell that there's something else going on here. There's more. There's actual data that says that there are mile-wide craft that can travel at Mach speeds from a position of 0. And now we know that some of those objects, I'm not sure how big they are, but some of them can sit in a hurricane, in a Category 4 hurricane, and then travel through the hurricane in Mach 4 speeds undisturbed. There's data to this. There's witness testimony under oath to this. Meanwhile, Avilob, it is not possible. No way a craft can move that fast. It just isn't not possible. There are laws of physics. There is no such thing as quantum mechanics. It's all theory. It's all not real. You realize that that's not skepticism. That's dogma. That's just like religious, this Scientology, and I don't mean like the science. I mean like this science religious basics. Like he's a religious scientist. I've been told for many years, I'm an astrophysicist for the last 20 years. I have studied many things, and not once have I ever come across data that suggests that it's possible for an object to travel at Mach speeds at those sizes without being aerodynamic. It is not possible. It must be misunderstanding of data. Meanwhile, the only way you can have that kind of position is if you just don't want it. You just refuse to see you don't even want to look at the data. It's not even about being data driven at this point. It's about being religiously driven. Your religion says there's no way that an alien would actually come here if they're alien, right? There's no such thing as interdimensional because it's just not it's just theoretical, and it's just fake. Don't believe it. It's insane to think that the UFO community is loving the guys debunking the evidence. John P., I appreciate the pushback. The one thing that I will say, my friend, is that I will not stand by while John Greenwald suggests that American heroes are traitors to the United States of America. He suggests that is really wrong. It's wrong. John Greenwald literally suggested that Lou Elizondo is a traitor. Is a traitor to the United States. He suggests that David Grush is a traitor. A traitor. He didn't just ask questions and say maybe there's something off. He said that they're traitors. He suggested. Through his questioning, he led us to the suggestion that David Grush and Elizondo are traitors, selling secrets or like spilling secrets to government officials. Do you want disclosure or not? He literally spent an entire hour making the case against David Grush by saying that, well, he obviously was leaking information to these Congress people. Do you want disclosure? Can you imagine? Think about this, okay? Think about this. We want disclosure, but everything's fighting against us. Somebody risks their life, releases the information to the public in an illegal way. They just give it to us. Document dump, all right? Which is what everybody has been claiming that they want. Why isn't David Grush giving us the information? Why hasn't he just tell us, forget about classification, forget about security oaths, forget about being a patriot, forget about all that, break all your security oaths, violate national security, tell us all the secrets right now, I want to know right now. Then, meanwhile, John Greenwald says, well, I think he violated national security. I think he released these secrets before he was supposed to. I think he broke his security oath. I think he was giving information to George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. Isn't that illegal? What? Do you support that? If you support accusing whistleblowers of treason, then we will never get disclosure because of you. That's it. Darren 1320, because John Greenwald is a grifter. He went through the proper whistleblower procedures, so I don't see how that makes him a traitor. Ask John Greenwald. because John Greenwald suggested that he's a traitor and that he's leaking secrets illegally. And you want to know why whistleblowers aren't coming forward? Duh, because the UFO community is literally backing people like John Greenwald, who's accusing David Grush, the whistleblower, who's brought us this far, of treason. You deserve blurry Bigfoot photos for the rest of your life if you think that. If you're with that, blurry Bigfoot photos for the rest of your life. All right? And also fake whistleblowers, people that come forward and say that Zeta Reticulans like to eat ice cream. You deserve it. John P. Adventures, we'll get there. We'll get there, but we can't fight against the whistleblowers. We cannot fight against... I can't believe I'm saying this. We cannot fight against whistleblowers. Okay? If you want disclosure, don't fight against the process that people are risking their lives for to get you the information that you've always wanted. Don't fight against it, okay? Because if you fight against it, you're going to scare more whistleblowers away from coming out in public. Don't call whistleblowers treasonous. Don't call them traitors to the United States. Don't suggest that they're traitors to the United States or anything, because otherwise more people are going to be like, screw that. Look what they did to him. And they're not going to come forward, and we're never going to get truth. If we, guys and gals and demigods and non-binaries, listen, if we trusted Greenwald to lead this charge, we'd be looking at redacted files for another 20 to 30 years. Hold on a second, y'all. I found this redacted UFO file again. Let me see if I can go onto my AR glasses computer. This is John Greenwald. All right, let me see here. Basically, it says, redacted. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it says redacted on there, right there. That's where we'll be in 20 years. Still looking at redacted files where the only word on the redacted file that's not redacted is the word redacted. Is that what you want? That's where we'd be if it wasn't. If it was for Greenwald, we'd be listening to Susan Gao tell us there's no credible evidence of extraterrestrial life at all. If we went with John Greenwald, we'd be with Arrow. 20 years from now, Arrow would be like, we're still. Kirkpatrick would be like, and we're still working on a process to push for some kind of transparency. And I wrote this new document that says that in 15 years, I probably won't be alive by then, but we're gonna get a process finally. And we've been working real hard on it for people to come forward and tell the truth about what they know about this phenomena. But as I know right now, after spending the last 20 years on it, there is no credible evidence of extraterrestrial. While John Greenwald's in the nursing home, pinching the nurse's butt while she's giving him his medication, his Alzheimer's medication. That's where we'd be. That's where we'll be. If we put our faith in John Greenwald, that's where we'll be. Because that's where they are. It's just truth. It's just the truth, man. And again, if I don't say something, well, then it's going to go on. People are going to watch other ufologists go up there and say that John Greenwald is a journalist. Which he is. But saying he's a journalist is not the full context of who he really is. There is more context to be given with John Greenwald. There is more context to be given. John Greenwald isn't just a journalist. John Greenwald is a grifter. He is either knowing or unknowing a disinformation agent. Either knowing or unknowing, an op of the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. Why do I say that? Because he literally parrots the arguments of the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. What side are you on? What side are we on here? I'm on the side of disclosure. I don't know about you, but I'm on the side of disclosure. I support whistleblowers. I support witnesses. I support the pilots that are saying they're having these encounters for the last 20 plus years. I support people that have been trying to come forward and talk about this phenomena. I will never call them traitors. I will never say that they're betraying the United States of America. I will never suggest that they're treasonous. I will not do that. I will support whistleblowers. I will. Will you? Or are you going to be on the side of Susan Gao, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, if you will? Let's go ahead and be facetious. The deep state. Are you on the side of the deep state? The ones who are trying to threaten the whistleblowers? Whose side are you on? The side of the people that are attacking whistleblowers? Is that the side of history you want to be on? If it is, I'll be right there, watching, reporting on this. I should say commenting. I'll be right there, be watching. And I'm going to call it out for what it is. And I encourage my listeners to support the whistleblowers. I encourage you. If you're hearing my voice right now, support the whistleblowers. Support the process of disclosure. Or don't, and be on the side of history where people are, indeed. Check it out. I don't want to play that. That's not worth it. I don't want to play that part because it's just saying that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is a mean person to his employees. So whatever.
It did bring both parties together. It was a congressional hearing that was out of this world. Speaking to a House Oversight Subcommittee, former military and intelligence officers said that the government knows more than it is letting on UFOs, and they said this under oath, folks. In fact, one former intelligence official testified that, quote, non-human biologics had been recovered at crash sites. That's another way of saying aliens.
They are talking about non-human biologics in the halls of Congress, officially under oath. And people are saying that it's a psyop.
Well, astronaut Buzz Aldrin, the second person ever to set foot on the moon, he joined this very broadcast 20 years ago. He was asked whether he agreed with his former Apollo 11 crewmate on the potential for life beyond planet Earth.
I asked Mike Collins about life somewhere else in the universe, and he said absolutely.
They know. Well, I'll tell you what. 1 year before David Fravor had his encounter, they're talking about NASA's got employees talking about absolutely yes. NASA, meanwhile, NASA at a hearing, NASA's hearing on UAP. We've never heard, what is a UAP anyway? What is it? What is a UAP? Is a UAP really anything real? Are we in a matrix where everything is illusory and we just are NASA? This is NASA. Meanwhile, NASA, we've never heard of this stuff. NASA's never heard of aliens. What's a UAP again?
Do you agree?
20 years ago.
With that?
I agree.
You do?
I agree that I don't know that we can make it absolutely. Intelligent life, we're a unique species here on Earth. There's a lot of life here, but we're the intelligent ones.
He thought this would be above Earthlings.
Well, it could be. Yeah.
Keep in mind, Buzz Aldrin has been iffy about his position on this, but his fellow astronauts have been explicit. Gordon Cooper was explicit. We're not alone. Definitely. We know we're not alone. We got the structures on Mars. We know there's structures on the moon. We know this. How come Buzz Aldrin's not with it? Because somebody got their finger up his... You know what I'm going to say.
If we find out they exist, then it's because of their communication to us. But they're going to be a long ways away. Space is enormous. Even the closest star could take a lifetime for a crew going from here to there or vice versa.
I'll let it slide. He's just a front man. I get it. I don't know who this is. Well, I'm gonna just let this go because it's not even worth the conversation. But it's drama.
3 UFO whistleblowers. They testified before the House Oversight Committee this week. Here's a bit of that. Watch.
Did you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes.
Meanwhile, half the UFO community, I think he's trying to make money.
Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Meanwhile, the UFO community, it's a psyop. He only suggested that the government's trying to kill him. It's a psyop. For who?
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
What came out of the hearing anyway? Meanwhile, the UFO community, what came out of the hearing? What came out of it? We have official confirmation that the government or these aerospace industries have live or biologics, whether they be live or dead, biologics of pilots who've flown these objects in our skies. What came out? Meanwhile, UFO community, nothing came out of that hearing anyway. Really, did it? Did anything really come out of that hearing? Really?
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
I know. I wonder if that in that moment he was like, "What the do you think I'm talking about here, lady?" I'm not mad at her. She's awesome. I'm just saying, like, in his mind, I wonder if he's feeling... Because you ever had a conversation with somebody and you're like, listen, you give them, like, all these details. You talk about something. You tell them... You're going... And you're like, okay, can you tell me what exactly you're talking about? You're like, I just spent the last 2 hours telling you this about aliens. What do you think I mean by But... I'm just saying... I'm just kidding right now. But obviously, on her defense, she needs to be clear. This needs to be made clear. So, what do we get out of this? Half the UFO community, we didn't get anything out of this. Meanwhile, David Grush, we got non-human biologics, spoken under oath.
Was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you and Skiff about.
Well, he didn't tell. It's all stuff that he can't say. Meanwhile, David Grush is willing to give direct information and details and facts about and evidence to prove that he's seen what he's seen. He gives evidence and proof to members of Congress. Meanwhile, UFO community, but he didn't give it to me. Grow up, Billy. Don't make me tell you a story about Billy and his mom. Because I'll do it.
John, you and I have spoken about this in the past. This is pretty extraordinary stuff. Unidentified flying objects have been seen. Biologics have shown non-human body parts, and people may have been murdered because they tried to hide this. What can you tell us as the former director of national intelligence?
Well, Maria, you and I had a conversation more than 2 years ago about this as I left my position as the Director of National Intelligence. And I said, look, the government has more information than it's sharing. And that was, I thought that a report that was going to come out after I left would have more transparency, which was needed. Unfortunately, the Biden administration made the decision to really not reveal much. And
the question is why? Biden better not mess this up, all right? He can't drop this like he dropped his whole self walking just across the grass. Slippery sometimes, I understand. But you can't drop this.
And now you end up with House Republicans having to have these public hearings to talk about more of this information. I will say this, I believe there should be more transparency on this issue, but not full transparency. I mean, the primary role of the federal government is to provide for the common defense. And, we don't share all national security information with the American people, but the government should have done a better job of putting out some of the things that you and I talked about, that I said, look, there are things that we can't explain, and that there are more sightings than are being reported. And, had the government managed this a little bit better, it wouldn't be as controversial.
And had the UFO community, half of them, not attacked whistleblowers, we may even be further than we would be today. I guarantee you that if in 2017 we supported Elizondo and To the Stars and all that movement, forget about the money-making scheme that people are claiming, doesn't matter. If we would have supported it then, we would have already had disclosure. We would have already had full-on disclosure. President coming forward, telling everybody that the aliens are here, we would have had it. But instead, the UFO community contributed to the reason why. Half the UFO community, not all of us, because I'm here too. Half of us contributed to this, to the pushback, to the stopping, the weird, in my opinion, it's really weird attempt at stopping disclosure.
Do we know where these UFOs are coming from?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of things that are unexplained. I mean, Maria, I've gone to the edge of, talking about information that's classified. I can't go over that line. This current administration would love nothing more than for me to trip over a classified information line. I just think that we could have put more information out to talk about all of that.
Oh, he knows some stuff, but he doesn't want to violate national security or his security oath. I get it. I respect that. Just like I respect when David Grush doesn't want to say anything for obvious reasons. Oh, man. I'm gonna do it. Let's check it out. If ET, let me block it doesn't matter who it is, guys. I don't want anybody doing anything stupid. If ET is malevolent, it's all over for us. That's true. There's no point in thinking about war, and it's pathetic to hear some of my own friends say that since we can shoot them down, there's a chance. There's no chance. Forget it. Now consider the alternative. David Grush has already stated that we have NHI clean energy tech, and it's quite simple and very powerful. This alone can transform the world out of poverty, out of hunger, out of homelessness, and it can take down the 1% and result in a decentralized utopian society where you don't even have to work unless you want to. All this is potentially just on the horizon. Oh my gosh, man, this guy is optimistic. I like him, by the way. I just feel like the optimism is misplaced, and it embarrasses me that the human race so far has not even touched upon this revelation. Instead, you see dimwit pundits projecting their own malevolence onto ETs, or imagining the ET sees us as ants and would have no compunction. What does that mean? What does that word mean? I've never even heard of that word before. What does that mean? Is that a word? A feeling of guilt or moral scruple that prevents or follows the doing of something bad. About something you have done or might do. I would have any compunction about telling him to leave. I see. To those people, I can't say anything because nothing will change their mind, but they are embarrassing to me. I'm gonna give this a fair criticism, okay? Because I like this person. The data does not suggest that they're benevolent and want to help us, or that they want to give us clean energy. Doesn't suggest it. Nothing about their presence suggests anything like what this person is suggesting. Nothing. Just to be fair, though, I don't want us to be trigger happy. Like, one soldier was, whenever people were being cautious in that movie, The Arrival, people were cautious, and then one dumb group of soldiers decided to send explosives into the craft and blow it up. Dumb. By the way, it's no accident that that craft in that movie, The Arrival, is the same craft that we've seen in space, in our airspace, that was captured by someone on a plane, on a civilian plane. Pretty interesting. They do not display benevolence at all. Almost causing a nuclear war is not a friendly action. There's a reason why pilots are scared. They started a whole safety, or why Ryan Graves started an entire safety organization for pilots to report their incidents to. There's a reason why there's been 14 near misses with these objects. There's a reason why Brazil, since the 70s, has been dealing with literally violent actions from some of these beings. Because, as Andy says, there are more than one species visiting, some not friendly. That's why. And this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. Surely, which is another way of dismissing it altogether. But we need to see evidence of this not friendly behavior. Again, I literally just mentioned it to you guys and gals and demigods and non-binaries. The evidence is there. This person doesn't want to look at the evidence. There's overwhelming evidence that they have been hostile towards humans. Not because we're hostile towards them, just because they outperform us. Again, we have no chance. There's no point in thinking about war. And it is pathetic to hear some of my own friends say that since we can shoot them down, there's a chance. Forget it, right? Even he recognizes there's no chance. Yet, they're doing these things to us. What? Man, I'm not even gonna go there with you, Sasquatch. Bob Lazar was right. Bob was right. George Knapp making moves, y'all. George Knapp making moves. Hold up. I'll be right back. Gotta use the restroom.
Computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Well, well, well. Ladies and gentlemen, you got nothing for the brown note comment for your guest. Do you really think there is a note you can play that will make people poo themselves? Yes. Yes, I believe it. I believe that frequencies can be emitted. Certain frequencies affect your brainwave. There's literally something called binaural beats, or brainwave synchronization, or if you will, brainwave entrainment. And it's a way for you to, through emitting sound waves, different sound frequencies into the human ear, you can produce an effect in the brain that does anything from making you feel happy, sad, euphoric, or, if you will, affect certain autonomic processes. This is a fact, dude. Sasquatch, I think you might want to do a little bit of research, my guy, because these things are absolutely possible. Absolutely. You think that poo? You think the poo thing is the only thing? Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Thank you, Karaoke. I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to support me, you can do so by hitting up my GoFundMe and Patreon. I would really appreciate it, of course. You do not have to. Your support is appreciated, but you're here. Being here is support. So here we go. Hit me up if you want to, all right? I'm not going to make it a big thing. I just want you guys to know that you can if you would like to. Support me here. This is what keeps me going. Obviously, without this, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. The support from you guys. So I'm going to pin that, and there you go. Thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, there's that, and then I'll get you my Patreon, guys. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can as well. Thank you, Karaoke. I always forget this. I don't have data on that, Karaoke, but I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that at all, because again, just look up brainwave entrainment, man. Look up how brainwaves affect. If you read the book, This Is Your Brain on Music, you can see there's a lot of effects, a lot of which is positive, but there are some negative ones as well. You just have to know the research, my guy. Sasquatch, I don't blame you for not knowing, my guy, but I do blame you for making assertions that you're not, well, you haven't learned about. You gotta learn them things, man. No, cursory research turns it up as a myth. Maybe you should do a little bit more. Multiple sources, my guy. Multiple sources. Cross-reference. What does the scientific research say on it? I'm not going to do a whole show on binaural beats and brainwave entrainment, but I would suggest you looking into that and then getting back to me. Send me something on a Discord that I can look at that says that that's not true, and then we'll talk. We'll talk. We'll have that. Matter of fact, send me some stuff. I'll look at it, and then we can debate about it. And then I'll send that frequency right through your ears to make you poop on yourself. Live. And then I'll clip it, and I'm going to distribute it all over the internet. And you won't be able to escape the reality of the poo effect. Okay? The poo frequency. You're not going to be able to escape it. That would be so much fun. Who do you want on the panel? Hit me up. Who do you want on the panel?
Right, but also, I mean, if they really have, as this guy testified, found non-human biological remains as pilots of these things.
Yeah, wild.
I mean, but it's going to be the biggest story in history. I mean, the government has been covering up evidence of extraterrestrial life for decades. If this guy is telling the truth, I think.
Right, and I have talked to a number of pilots over the years long before I was in Congress. A lot of these pilots see stuff, and sometimes it could be a light refraction. You're going so fast, you're over water, things look weird. But then some of it is completely unexplained. And as you said, if this is really going on, it'll be the biggest story in history, not just U.S. history, but world history. But the bigger thing is, do these programs exist? How much money are we spending on them? Who knows about them? And why can't Congress be informed about what's really going on in this country? And it's deeply frustrating because of all the cover-ups that we see, the corruption, the amount of money that's wasted. I mean, it's just, it's very frustrating.
Right.
Garioki said law enforcement uses sound wave weapons already. In the UK, there is a tone they play that disperses people. By all accounts, only teenagers can hear it. That's interesting. I've never heard that before, but that's interesting. Stylops stops them hanging around outside shops and streets corners. Garioki, you're gonna have to provide data for that one, my guy. I'm not gonna lie. That should be illegal if that's true, which I don't have any information on that. That should be illegal. That should be illegal. Joe Merger says, check it out, y'all. Investigative journalists Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp provided Congress with sworn testimonies, which were obtained by Fox News Digital, and flanked former Intelligence Community Inspector General at Wednesday's UFO hearing. Russia's warplanes engaged UFOs, chased them, and even shot at them at least 45 times in 1993. According to classified Russian documents, that investigative reporter George Knapp obtained and smuggled out of the country. That's just one snippet of information revealed in letters written by Knapp and investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell to the House Oversight Committee before Wednesday's UFO hearing. Both letters, which were first obtained by Fox News Digital and published in their entirety below, were entered into the congressional record as the country's eyes and ears were glued to three explosive testimonies. Corbell whispered something to Charles McCullough as George Knapp listened in with a smirk. McCullough, who was President Barack Obama's former Intelligence Community Inspector General. Representative Grush, in his Intelligence Community Inspector General complaint, purposefully seated behind him. You know what he's talking about? Behind David Grush at the hearing was the former Inspector General, the former Intelligence Community Inspector General of the Obama administration. You think they don't know? You think they don't know? We already went over the Obama interviews where he says, when it comes to aliens, there's just some stuff I can't tell you. Dagnabbit. Dagnabbit the BBB. Dagnabbit. How do I... Hold on. One second, guys and gals and demigods and non-binaries. What's up, Rogan Mitch? Never heard that, and I'm from the UK. Yeah, I don't know anything about that personally. I can't vouch for that, but it's interesting. Hold on. I'm gonna change Twitter. I forgot about it. You're right. Thanks for the intel. Now, how do I change that? More settings. Appearances. Display. Lights out. There we go. Check it out, y'all. Special shout out to the BB88. Thank you for telling me to switch my background to Twitter Black. I'm sorry, to X Black. Let's look at some X videos, y'all. Not those X videos, you perv. Thank you, Gary. Check it out, y'all.
Well, and this week, one of the things you were calling for is more transparency with regard to what we used to call UFOs. I know they have a fancy new name. I want to play a little bit of back and forth from the hearing. You have witnesses who say the government has remains of crashes, and that's not all. Here's a bit of that.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
What came out of the UFO hearings? What came out of those UAP hearings, huh? Anyway, huh?
Okay, some serious allegations that raised a lot of eyebrows. Do you believe them? And do you think the government has an obligation to be transparent with all of this information, whatever it may be?
Well, the Oversight Committee on Wednesday, we had 3 very credible witnesses, a former intelligence officer, a retired military, retired pilots who'd seen things they could not explain. And what we learned on Wednesday, because this really isn't about little green men, this is about the federal government laundering your tax dollars, paying for programs that none of...
It's not about little green men because they're gray.
us in Congress are aware of, let alone you, the taxpayer. And you have the right to know what's really going on. And we left with more questions than answers because a lot of the information that was shared can't be shared in a public setting. So a lot of it might have to, at the next hearing, be in a private setting in a SCIF, which is frustrating. But I want to be transparent with the American people with everything that we learned from these hearings.
Yes, please do. Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, tell us everything right now. Break your security oaths and go back, go to jail. Meanwhile, UFO Twitter, I hate you and I don't want anything to do with you and I think you're a traitor to the United States. Meanwhile, UFO Twitter, why doesn't he tell us all everything? Why doesn't he tell the people that want him to go to prison everything? Why doesn't he just tell us? Meanwhile, come on, guys and gals and non-binaries and demigods. All right, listen. This is the last video. Stephen Greer said the BB88 says Stephen Greer said he can say it as there is evidence it's been run illegally. I watched the video the other day about it. Oh man, you missed out on all my conversations here about Stephen Greer. I'd watch out for that one. Alien Universe says on YouTube, mosquito tone, which is a sound at frequency of 17.4 kilohertz. I've heard about that before. That I have heard about. There's articles on that. I don't have a lot of data, but there's articles on that too, that I've heard before too.
And for more perspective on the hearings, we are joined by News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder, who is also a former CIA officer.
News Nation is leading the charge in the media for disclosure. Really? They've
an FBI special agent Tracy.
They also essentially patented, or I should say, like, copyrighted the interview with David Grush and Ross Coulthart. Coulthart was and Bryce Sable were trying to get that interview because News Nation wouldn't let them have it. News Nation kept it from them. Who's trying to make money here? The people that are pushing for the truth, or the people that are using them, which is News Nation. Again, I'm just saying. Let's just go with it.
Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
And Tracy, notably, I know you were actually detailed to the same agency as.
Okay, first of all, Garioki, Stephen Greer had some whack jobs, some whack job testimonies. He had some straight up whack job testimonies. There's a reason why he only brought a couple of people with him. There's a reason. There's a reason why it wasn't a big deal. There's a reason why. There's a reason why those whistleblowers aren't at. Anyway.
David Grush for a time. Let's take a quick listen to some of his testimony together.
It was very brutal and very unfortunate, some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, to be quite frank.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes.
What do we get out of the hearings on UAP? I'm the UFO community. Half of us. I'm half the UFO community. What do we even get out of this? Huh?
Personally.
Stephen Greer has a hearing and nobody visits it and nobody cares. Stephen Greer has all the answers. David Grush goes out here and talks to members of Congress under oath to testifies in front of a committee, congressional hearing. UFO community. David Grush is fake. Stephen Greer has the answers. That's why he's not talking to members of Congress. His evidence, you know what Stephen Greer would do? He'd walk up in there in his lab coat. All right? He'd stand there and all buffed up, off of his, buffed and jacked up. He'd pull his trousers down, flop that thing on the table right. This is my evidence for non-human technology. I'm proof of that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that can't be human. Look at that thing. There's no way he's a human being. He must be alien. And then the UFO community. Bravo, Stephen Greer. Bravo. He has all the answers. Look at that thing. He's obviously got the answers.
First of all, Tracy, I have to ask, did you hear anything while at this agency about UAPs? And then secondly, based on your experience working in the government and federal law enforcement, do you think this is something the U.S., the government is capable of keeping quiet for so long?
So first of all, no, I did not work in the UAP program, although yes, I was detailed to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. However, I was working our counterterrorism efforts there. And as I'm sure people can imagine, things are pretty compartmented, right? Grush wouldn't have necessarily known what I was doing, and I wouldn't have known what.
That's called compartmentalization. Again, this is how it all works. This is how you keep things, this is how you really perpetuate secrecy. The UFO community understands this, but half of them still are in denial that, I don't even understand.
He was doing. So really, I can't speak to the work he was doing. Now, look, I've been to Area 51 before, but I think in terms of the testimony that I saw, to me, the most impactful was actually the testimony of the two lieutenants, Graves and Fravor. And it's not to dismiss Grush's claims. I give a lot of credit to Grush's claims, but a lot of it was secondhand information, whereas those two.
Well, a lot of it was secondhand information based off of witness. That's if you consider witness testimony secondhand information, yes, sure. But that's how it works. That's how it. Isn't everything secondhand information? If you're listening to a first-hand witness about something, you're hearing secondhand information. It's literally no. Goose Fraba. I'm trying to be a calmer man, tapping into my inner peace.
Lieutenants really had a lot of first-hand information, and I thought that was fascinating.
As you mentioned, one of
Garioki, they don't have to try to shut him up because the UFO community is doing that all by themselves.
The other witnesses, specifically retired Navy Commander David Fravor, he talked about the threat that these flying objects could pose. Let's take a quick listen to that.
You believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes, and here's why. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it.
All right, two things. We want to focus on what he just said. Again, this is obviously not ours because we have our best pilots that have been saying for the last 20 years, we got nothing. It defies our understanding of material science. So please, let's not do this. And why do they want to silence Grush? Because he said that the aliens are not our friends. That's why. He didn't, because he said that they might not be extraterrestrial. And everybody is, ufology is half religion, half actual research. Okay? I should say mostly religion and partly research. It's a religion. It's a religion, man. Why? Oh, they are extraterrestrials. I know it because I've seen them with my own eyes. That's a religious perspective. That's that's not data. That's not scientific understandings of a thing. The scientists are saying, the physicists who have data on this are saying, I don't think it's extraterrestrial anymore. John Mack, David Jacobs, Jacques Vallée, Eric Davis, scientists, researchers, David Grush. Scientists and researchers are saying, we're going to have to go with something other than extraterrestrial. That's why the UFO community is against David Grush. He didn't say there are space brothers from Zeta Reticuli, and he didn't say that they're extraterrestrial. He said they could be interdimensional or projecting themselves from another dimension. That's why. It's a religion. It's a religion.
So if his statement is proven true, exactly what kind of threat could they pose? And also, I would love to know what was on your mind. Were you concerned about tech and national security as you were listening to these testimonies?
So I was, but like I said, particularly when I listened to Graves and Fravor. So I was the first female working on the armed drone program, and I saw firsthand what our capabilities were in other countries, particularly Afghanistan.
This is good.
With just our drones. And so it's very concerning to me when we have UAPs in space and we don't have a full understanding of what their capabilities are, and perhaps we have the shells of some of these and are not reverse engineering them. We can't defend against them. And
another thing is, they keep this so... There's a very small amount of people. You know what the scientists have said, the whistleblowers have said about this technology that they allege is being recovered from non-human technology? They say they're not even allowed to collaborate. You guys, there are people that believe that we have like fully reverse engineered these craft, but like we've done it without collaboration. Are we human beings are dumb, but smart enough to operate godlike technology? Dude, they literally created an entire being to operate the craft. How are we going to replicate that? They literally materialize craft out of thin air and create a biologically created organism to operate these freaking super advanced craft that they materialize out of nothing, but the material of which, according to scientists, is from outside of our solar system. And you think that we are the ones to operate? What?
I think that is the essential issue here. You know, it's not whether or not, Martians are here and UFOs are here, but it's about what is the threat to the American people. And if we don't know what these things are and what their capabilities are, we are putting people at risk because
This is a ridiculous argument. I'm sorry. This is the first time I've had something to say. This is a very ridiculous argument. We don't know what they can do, so therefore that's why it's a threat. That's not why it's a threat. Guys, there's a way more compelling reason for why they believe it's a threat than we just don't know what it is. No. That is a terrible argument. It's terrible. That is exactly why when the UFO community hears this, that's why they reject it. I get that. But you need to listen to all of this stuff and not just like one or two clips. There's a lot more information. There is data in Brazil, in Afghanistan, in Russia, okay? And of course in the US, in the east coast of the US, off the east coast of the US, where there is engagement with these phenomena. They don't just like fly around accidentally almost running into our pilots. They're doing it on purpose. Bryson, yeah, Martians, this lady, I don't know why they brought her on.
Flown drones, and I've seen what they can do, just our own. I don't know what UAPs could do.
Yeah. And Evan.
Well, Brian Graves and David Fravor do, and they're telling us they can operate in Category 4 hurricanes. It's stationary, and then travel through them at Mach speeds. That's not just a drone that China created. Come on, people. They can fly into space. They can jump. They can disappear into space and then drop down from 80,000 feet from space and then go back up after sitting there for hours. Martians? Really? You want to use this little green men, Martians? She does not believe a word that's being said. I don't even know why she's on this.
Moon was just talking about that top Pentagon official now calling the testimonies insulting to government employees and workers. Also, that one of the testifiers has not cooperated with the government investigation. What is your take on this criticism?
It's hard. I see both sides, right? I'm a former government employee. And so the reality is look, we do sign NDAs and we do not want to reveal classified information that we're not supposed to because it can put our colleagues at risk. And I see both sides of this. But at the same time, there is no central reporting of UAPs. The FAA doesn't have that capability. And I think it's something that we need to.
And Kirkpatrick has been withholding that process, has not been acting on that process, I should say, since Arrow started. We've made significant progress. His own employees say that he sucks. The people that work at Arrow, they say he sucks. They don't even like him.
To think about becoming more public and maybe not viewing this as sort of a fringe belief if we talk about it a bit more. So I absolutely see where the Pentagon is coming from because they were tasked with doing this with an all-domain anomaly research office, that's a mouthful, to do something like this last year. And I feel like they probably think they haven't been able to investigate that thoroughly in its scope, and that's why they feel insulted, which I understand.
Please send this lady's career some flowers. Please send this lady's career some flowers. Because I think that it just died in real time. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. I feel so bad for her.
Yeah. Thank you for.
I feel so bad for her. I'm so sorry. Guys, I gotta get going. But anyway, listen, it's been fun. I gotta get going. I gotta prep for tonight's show on Space Out Radio. It's been fun, guys. I appreciate you being here. Again, if you'd like to support me on the GoFundMe, John, here is, I'll share the GoFundMe one more time just so you guys can, because again, this is what keeps my efforts going. This is obviously what supports the show. What supports me doing this whole thing in the first place. I do this 7 days a week. I do this literally every day. And it's again, the reason why I'm doing this is because of you, because you guys have supported me doing this. So here we go. There's my GoFundMe again, in case you guys want to support the channel. If you can. Karaoke, I did it. I did it, Pa. And with that, my friends, I had a blast. Till next time, Doc Doors out. Peace.